Welcome to worshiptutorials.com.
Hello, friends.
In this video, we are going to talk about this guitar, the Squier Classic Vibe 60s Stratocaster. It has assumed its final form, Bradford. It has been completely upgraded, front to back, top to bottom. We basically turned this Squier into a monster, and we're going to talk about exactly what happened to it.
We didn't necessarily.
We did, yes.
We were part of the brain trust.
That's right. So this might be a bit of a long video. In the description below, if you're here on YouTube, you'll see like little segments across the bottom.
Little hash marks on the timing thing.
That's the table of contents. That YouTube has this cool feature. You put timestamps in.
It's relatively new, isn't it?
It gives you chapter markers. Yeah, so you can jump to whatever you want. We're gonna insert playing samples into this video throughout, so you can jump to those if you just want to hear what it sounds like. We're gonna talk about what we did and then the individual upgrades, what we think of them, and then we're gonna address the guitar as a whole. Mm-hmm. How is it now compared to when it was stock? And then we're going to talk about, was it worth it? Because as you're going to see, we put a lot into this thing. And so we'll maybe talk about if you have a Squier or a budget level instrument, what are some things you can do, one at a time or holistically to upgrade it. So before we get into the individual upgrades that we did and the details about that, we worked with some friends of ours, some companies that have become friends with us here at Worship Tutorials that helped us pull this off.
Well, we kind of worked with three companies. Mm-hmm. We did purchase this on our own because we wanted to do this on our own.
I bought it with my own money.
Yes. So we purchased it from Z-Zounds. Z-Zounds? Zounds?
Z-Zounds?
Z-Zounds?
Sure.
Z-Zounds? Whatever. But we talked to Curtis at Lambertones Pickups. I always do that.
It's because his name is Lamberton.
It's actually more confusing, but it's very clever at the same time. And 920D.
Yes.
So they're the ones that did the legwork. And as we talk about it, this Vega-Trem, we have actually started talking with Vega
That
about
was a
this.
gift from 920D, by the way.
It is a gift.
And a gift from Vega to 920D that they passed along to us.
Look at that. It's the season of giving and just, look, we're passing it along.
Lambertones supplied the pickups. 920D, they sell like preloaded wiring harnesses. They did this whole pickguard wiring harness, and there's some special magic happening here. And they supplied the trem system, and they supplied new tuners. So I know a lot of people right off the top are going to say, what all did you do? How much does it cost?
Some people are
how
like,
much
why
would
bother?
it cost? Yeah, many of you will say, why would you do this? We'll talk about that
for the gram.
We did it for the views, people. So specifically, I've got a spreadsheet here that'll tell you everything. The guitar was a Squier Classic Vibe 60s Stratocaster. New pricing on that, $399. That is what I paid for it. The pickups are the Triple Shots from Lambertones pickups. Cost on these pickups, $260. Full disclosure, Curtis provided those for free for us for this project.
Yep. Side note, some people think that they do not want to spend that money on a guitar for like the pickups. You probably have spent that much money on a drive pedal. Pickups are close to it.
Bigger deal, yeah.
Pickups make a huge difference. It's worth it. Continue.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. Now the wiring harness is a 7-way. It looks like a standard.
I forgot about that.
Yes, we're going to demonstrate that. So it looks like a standard Strat, but you can pull the bridge pot, and it turns the neck on.
I forgot about that
So
completely.
920D sells these pre-wired pick guards, and so
that's their specialty.
This is one of their options. This is called the 7-way harness because instead of 5 positions, you have 7.
Yeah. No, it's still a 5-way blade, though.
It is a 5-way blade, so you can have really quickly bridge these two pickups together, the 2 position. The 3 position is just middle. The 4 position is these 2 pickups, and then neck. But because you can turn the neck on in any position, the 2 extra positions would be bridge and neck, and then all 3 on at the same time.
Oh, I was racking my brain. I was like, "Where's the 7th? Does that make sense?"
Yes.
Dang.
All right, so that is available from 920D. If you bought that brand new, that is $70. That includes like wiring and pots and everything. Full disclosure again, they provided that for us for free for this project. The tuners are Gotoh locking tuners. They're actually really nice. So they look like vintage Fender locking tuners.
Yeah, the little knobs look great.
They are reminiscent of PRS's locking tuners in that there's a groove on the top, and you can use like a nickel or a quarter or something, and you tighten it down. So you lock the string down on the top, and then they work like a locking tuner. A lot of the locking tuners have a screw mechanism back here, but they look like vintage Fender tuners. They're super smooth. Hold tune great. Those, if you bought them new, are $75. Again, they were provided for free by 920D. Thank you so much. And the tremolo is there are 2 like super high end upgrades on this guitar. 1 the pickups, 2 the tremolo. When I talked to Jimmy at 920D, I said, the tremolo works, but if you've got something that you think would work better, just to completely trick it out, go for it. I had no idea this was coming, so he sent me an email and he said, Vega-Trem actually gifted us, 920D, this trim, so I put it in there for you. This trim, I'd never heard of Vega-Trem before.
I have.
I'm getting a Vega-Trem for one of my Strats because this thing is awesome. They use them in Elliott's, don't they?
To give you an idea of just how high end they are, they are the choice trim system for Mr. Andy Elliott.
Ooh.
He does not deal with garbage products.
No.
So if that gives you a little, we're going to talk about it, but if that gives you a little more perception or perspective as to how nice they are.
This trim is awesome. It's super smooth. One of the best feeling, playing, sounding, functioning trims that we've ever used. So if you bought a Vega-Trem, they are based in Europe, so you have to factor in. So this price will fluctuate depending on exchange rates. They're a little under $300. When I looked the other day, it was $290 US to buy this trim, which you might think that's a huge upgrade. But a trim, if you're a trim user, that's a really, that is a part of the guitar that you really interact with a lot. That and like the neck. So these are important things. Certainly wouldn't have to do all of this, and we'll talk about that at the end. So the grand total, if you include the purchase price of the original guitar, which again was $399, comes out to $1,094. That's for all the parts and the guitar. Now, if you had somebody put it together for you, like if you took it to a tech or a luthier or somebody and said, can you assemble this and do a setup, they're going to charge you between $75 to $150, maybe even $200, depending. We're going to talk about later in the video whether we think this was worth it. The too long didn't read version, yes. But if you have $1,000
Too long didn't watch.
Yeah, if you have $1,000 to spend, you might choose to do different things. That would be up to you. This was a fun one to put together. So Brad and I thought it would be an interesting way to structure this video is to talk about the individual components in the order that we would upgrade them, doing it one piece at a time. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of people, if you have a budget instrument that maybe you got when you first started playing, or maybe it's like all you can afford right now is a $400 guitar, which in our review video we made the statement it's a great guitar stock. Yeah. You could play it no problem, Sunday in and out, and be just fine. But if you wanted to do some upgrades over time, you're going to want to start with the most impactful thing that's going to make the biggest difference. And so we're going to start with that thing, and then we'll just kind of work our way down.
Yeah.
Number one is...
We think it's pickups.
I think so, too.
We would say pickups. Now, I think that's also assuming that you've either paid for somebody or you spent the time to kind of like polish up stuff. Mm-hmm. I think that would be the first thing.
Is the first thing.
Yeah. And we talked about in the other video how like that's kind of part of how you save money in these guitars is that there's not a lot of hands and eyes on it. Yeah. For at least not very long. But after that, because if after that you still don't think like you think like it's like there but not quite there, pickups in my mind, in our minds, tend to be the next greatest thing.
You can completely transform the way a guitar sounds by swapping out the pickups.
Yeah. We think pickups. Now, more specifically, in this case, we're very excited to have these Lambertones in this thing. A lot of times people kind of think that we're just like blowing smoke and like we just like want to...
We talk about Lambertones a lot.
We do. But like Curtis wants you to have... This is not really part of the video, I guess, but at the same time, Curtis wants you to have the pickups you want. Yes. The pickups, the sound you hear in your head. So the guy is not out to just make money. He's out to help you have the best sounding rig that you possibly can. So Curtis has never pressured me, being a huge Mayer fan, and he knows this. He's never pressured me. He's never even... I don't even think he's even said to me, you need to try my triple shots. Yeah. Like, we were in a deep conversation about it. Like, we were talking about it. We were way deep into pickups, and he was like... You would probably like my triple shots. But at that point, especially as good as friends as we are, it was different. Curtis's goal is to help you get the sound you want. But I finally...
You got the sound you want.
I put these pickups in my Sir.
Brad has the triple shots in his Sir Strat.
Yes. Yeah. I have the pickups in my Sir Strat. Now, one could argue that it's not really... It's like a double shot. Because I also have a grinder in the bridge. But, being the huge Mayer fan that I am, I wanted... to try his triple shots because they are inspired on John Mayer's like favorite. He's got a 63 or 64. I always forget which one it is.
I thought he had one of each, but
but the pickups are inspired after his favorite pickups.
Well, why don't we just real quick take a little spin through the pickup positions using the Line 6 Helix on the floor. Brian, side note,
I'm glad you suggested that.
Side note, we wanted to get exactly the same patch that we used for the initial review. But we never wrote down which patch. We know it was the Helix because that was in the description. I don't know what patch
We're not 100% sure.
We're pretty sure it was this matchless patch that we've got here, the Match Mark II. Anyway, we're going to go pick up positions 1 through 5, and then why not 6 and 7 as well, so you can hear that.
All right. We're going to go 5 through 1 because technically neck is 5.
That's right. Start with 5.
All right.
Finally, a Strat single coil bridge pickup that I can get down with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Finally.
It's juicy, but still cuts. But it's not like overly... It doesn't not sound like a Strat.
Yeah.
And this, the whole point of this is not necessarily to talk about Lambertones.
It's not thin and
but here
cut
we
your
are.
head off. How about the pull that bridge pot?
All right, so we're on the bridge pickup, and we're going to pull this pot, which
It turns the neck on.
which I would imagine gives us kind of a semi-telly sounding.
A middle position telly, yeah.
Yeah.
So now if you go to the 2 position, you'll have all 3 on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's got some quack, but it's full. That's it. So
Yeah, it's like a bigger quacky 4 position.
So if I turn this off, I'm going to hear this again. So it's subtle. I think honestly it comes down. It's going to feel a little different when you're playing 2 because it still sounds like that 2 position.
That's with all 3 on?
With all 3 on, but it gives you a little more beef.
Like, yeah.
Because when you're in the middle position,
it brings in more warmth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So based on what I remember from the stock form of it, and you can go back and watch those videos, the neck and the 5 position and the 4 position sounded pretty good.
They were pretty good.
It was when you got into the anything involving the bridge pickup, it kind of didn't sound great.
Yeah, I wouldn't. It wasn't. I mean, it was a little
in its
shrill.
stock form, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't
It's
a little
usable.
shrill, but like it more was thin to me. It was more thin to me than shrill. Whereas like it just didn't really have a lot of like body. Like if you were flipping to the bridge pickup for a solo in a mix or like a lead part in the mix, you would probably not hate it too much.
Yeah.
Really not a big deal. But at the same time, I wasn't totally into it. But it wasn't this ice picky thing.
Yeah.
However,
this is better. Yeah.
way better.
Way better.
It's kind of fat and chewy. I don't know. And this is just buzzwords, but that's how I would describe it. And it's got like this bell-like quality.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say chime. Chime I would reserve for like Dynasonics and Filtertrons and whatnot. I don't know. And like we were playing through a matchless. So there's that. But it's like a bell-like quality. It's got like this nice, it's beautiful high end. It's really nice.
The thing with Curtis's pickups, and we have, I think, all of them currently.
At least right now we do.
All of his range right now in the room. They all share certain characteristics. Words I would use would be clarity.
Yep.
I wouldn't say bright. A lot of people think they're bright and that like the humbuckers sound like single coils. That's not necessarily true in our experience.
You could knock a whole bunch of low end out and get it there, sure, but no.
But what you do get is lots and lots of clarity. Like you hear everything much more clearly.
Yeah.
Hence the word clarity.
And you get more separation.
You get more note separation, and it really helps you with overdrive because now your drive sounds rich and full, but not muddy.
And not just like a wall of sound.
Yeah,
like
not
here's a
muddy
wall
and
of
gross.
notes. Like
And-
that's what you get with nicer pickups. You get like separation.
Yes.
And so that is why we say it's our first pick.
And especially for us, we use lots of reverb and delay in the style of music that we play.
Not sorry.
And so, no. So pickups that have a lot of clarity and a lot of definition really help you with that because if you use lots of reverb and delay, you can get, it just becomes mush really easily. And I think a lot of people discount just how important the pickups are in that recipe.
Yeah.
And so like the super high clarity thing is really important for this style of music in particular, but they're super clear and they just have some extra, there's just magic in them.
Yeah.
I mean, all of his pickups.
They got like this round depth 3D kind of vibe and that's Curtis's sound. I would almost say
He does have a signature sound.
Yeah. And I would say like if you like one of his sets of pickups,
you're gonna like
and we're probably like all of them.
our second choice on this particular guitar
On this one.
would be the tuners.
I would say we were
And it
just
would be
kind
one
of
of the
discussing
cheaper
this
upgrades.
before we did this.
Yeah.
We were just discussing this. Would it be the trem or the tuners?
Yeah.
Almost tied, we would think. But on this
Yeah.
guitar,
Because one of the tuners was not working.
oh yeah, you would like
The high
turd,
E.
turd.
And you could probably, like tuners like these tuners, and I think those did too, they'll have a little hole in the back. Like, it's there for you to oil them or put lubricant in the tuner. And clean them too, like they can get dirt on the gears and it
Yeah.
can keep them from like working. So
And
I
slit and
suspect,
stuff.
yeah, I suspect the stock tuner could have been made to work just fine.
Yeah, the rest of them weren't half
But
bad.
it was a little wonky. So
Yeah.
in that particular case, the tuners, and we don't need to spend a lot of time on the tuners. They work really well.
Yeah.
At $70, they're not terribly expensive as far as higher upgraded tuners go. You can spend more. Like you can get the really cool open gear hip shot tuner, which those are awesome. They cost more money. But these work great, and the fact that you can screw them down, it makes string changing easy. So you don't have to wrap. You just pull them through tight, screw it down,
Yep.
tune it up, done.
Yeah.
And they're holding tune super well with heavy tremolo usage, which we'll talk
Which
about in a bit.
leads us to our next thing. Number three.
That trem.
Now, I will say, so I was thinking about this as you were talking.
Yeah.
If you're not a trem user,
Yeah, it wouldn't necessarily.
and or you don't foresee yourself being able to drop a significant amount of money on a trem,
$300-ish
On this
that
one.
trim is
you can get a decent like bridge, not like a trem system. You could get a block that would basically make your Strat a hardtail Strat.
yeah.
And you could get tuners, and that'd make things a lot better. But Vega-Trem.
Let's talk about the Vega-Trem. This thing is awesome.
As mentioned,
Can I goof with it? Because I love this thing. So first of all, I've heard it described. I've not played a guitar with a Floyd Rose tremolo. If you're not familiar, Floyd Rose is a huge contraption down here, and it locks at the nut.
Yeah.
And so it does not go out of tune, and you have to actually tune it from back here.
yeah,
right?
like little screws.
This I've heard is like
It's comparable.
Is like having a Floyd on a Strat without a locking nut. All right, so this is what it does. Strings are flopping on the fretboard. That thing is still in tune. Like, that is crazy.
Which, I mean, how practical is that? No.
You don't really do that, but you can.
You can.
That's the point.
If you
So
want to.
this tremolo will go. I'll show you some close-up photos. It's much smaller than other Strat
Yeah.
tremolos, and the block is a lot more slim. Which you could make the argument that you're gonna get less sustain and like vibration transfer.
I could see
with
why,
a
but-
thinner block like this. I wouldn't say I've noticed it, but we also upgraded a lot of stuff at the
Yeah.
same time. What the thin block, though, does allow you to do is it gives you lots of room and like less material up here. So there's nothing on the back of the trim that hits the body. So you can go up and down. So it's still in tune after doing all that stuff. We actually just checked. But to me, the thing that is so great about it is the feel of it.
Yeah.
So a lot of guys and church players love Bigsby's.
Yeah.
Because the feel like
I think a lot of guys
the
think they
feel
love
is so
Bigsby's.
good. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. Bigsby's have to be done extremely well.
Yeah.
Because they really have tuning issues. But
I think it's the
this
looks.
thing, yeah, it's a look thing. But this thing just feels so smooth. And you can get such a buttery smooth, like you can get, like you can do weird stuff. Like you hear that fluttery. I love the way this tremolo feels.
Yeah.
And the hardware is just super high end. Like the way that this arm lock, it's like it locks into place here. And it, you know, you can adjust the tension as far as like how loose it is, that kind of thing. It's great.
If you need even if you don't have a Strat, they can. It depends on what kind of guitar you have, but like, you know, some guitars that have like Gotoh, like the Gotoh 510 is my favorite Strat trim.
Yeah.
I'm just really used to it. It's a little more rigid, which I actually kind of like. This one is a little more, and maybe you can even adjust it. It's a little more springy, or it's a little looser.
Oh, so you're talking about these? That they give you different tension strings. So you get 3 different options. You get loose, so it's like really lots of play. These are the medium tension, which I feel really good.
I want to try that.
And they have high tension.
I want to try.
So it's like stiffer.
Well, there we go.
And it's just a 2-spring system.
Yeah.
But it's just all kinds of upgrades. Like I don't even think I watched some content on these, so I learned some more about them. Underneath here, so where these screws sit to adjust the height, like on most trims, like they can move around. There are grooves machined in under here, so the set screws don't move around. So like
they have thought of everything.
The saddles don't move. Once you set intonation, which you can do with these hex screws in the back, there are hex screws on the top that you can screw down and lock it in, so they'll never move.
I was actually just replacing the strings on the Silver Sky, and the saddles, they do move a little bit.
Oh, they'll move sideways.
They'll move sideways, and a little bit, and that's just common. Like,
yeah.
But that I think is one of the reasons why that thing's going to cost a little bit more.
Because
they're spending the time,
and it's like the way that it's made, and it's completely different than the way most trim systems work. Like most of them, there's screws here that they pivot on, or there's like a blade system. This is all built in here. We can do a separate video on this trim if we want to down the road. So we've talked pickups. That would be number 1. Tuners. That would be our number 2 for this particular guitar.
Yeah.
If this guitar's tuners were solid off the top, it would be the tremolo.
Yeah.
Which is number 3. And then finally, the electronics would be the 4th thing. And this is more of like a, do you specifically want this functionality where you can turn the neck on and off?
Yeah.
It's really cool to be able to do that.
It is.
And when you upgrade, wiring and pots and things, you're gonna maybe hear a difference in tone, but it's gonna make the smallest impact.
Yeah.
On tone.
It's almost like buying a new power supply for your pedal board.
Yeah.
Or it's like
right.
buying a new hard drive system for your computer.
Which I just did.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, you know you need it. You know it's going to be beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue you do get a little more clarity and it's a little more... but if you're already putting in something great like Lambertones, like it's not going to be that different. And we're not talking about just... The wiring harness on this one is like... It's like a specific 7-way switch. You still may or still probably should replace like the switchblade and the tone and the volume pots.
And the cheap parts, like they work, but they will eventually fail.
Yeah.
Unless, the higher end the part is, the longer it will last over time.
Yeah.
There are 2 things though when it comes to the wiring that will make an immediate impact on you. One is the way they feel when you turn them. And it's like if you felt really high end stuff, switches, pots, you know it, and you kind of miss it when you don't have it.
It's smooth, doesn't catch. Yeah.
Not a thing that's really going to affect playability or tone. So the other thing is your volume pot. If you have a treble bleed mod done to your volume pot, you will not lose high end when you roll the volume back. If you don't have a treble bleed, you will lose high end on the volume pot.
Some people
so that's a reason to upgrade.
Yeah, and some people actually like I kind of like when I don't use my volume knob all that much. It's just a preference. Yeah. But I like knowing that if I dial the volume knob back just like a slight turn, lose a little bit of that gain and lose
Yeah.
a little bit of that crispiness, and that'll work. And so that high end, but you can add a treble lead if you want.
So we've gone front to back, all the upgrades. Is it worth it? Because a lot of people will say, you spent $1,100 on this guitar, you could have bought like one of the new Ventura Fenders, which is true.
Yeah.
I would argue this would beat it
Yeah.
pretty easily because of the trim and the pickups specifically.
Mm-hmm.
But if having Fender on the headstock is important to you versus Squier,
There's
and let's
that.
be honest, that's a thing.
Yeah.
You know, whether you think that that's superficial or not.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
I mean, mental thing too. Like, you know, I understand. Like, it could be weird.
Yeah, I would say, all told, for $1,100, this thing still hits above its price point.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say you were to let's use the number. Under 15. Let's say
Okay,
that.
under 15, yeah.
Because of labor, I think that's a little more realistic. If all the labor was put into it, frets and all were taken care of like we did, this is a under $1,500 guitar.
12 to 1,300.
12 to $1,500 guitar. Is it worth it?
I think so. I'll say this. I play it next to guitars that cost twice that amount, so $2,500 to $3,000, and this guitar sounds and feels just as good.
Yeah, it can hang. It can hang.
Right.
I think for me, if I were to undergo a project like this, I wouldn't do it if I didn't think the guitar felt good. Because you can only do so
neck,
much.
that kind of thing.
You can only do so much at that point.
Yeah.
And if you were to then go and replace the neck, well then you're kind of like that's like the ultimate at that point. Like you might as well because that's another $300 to $500 for a good neck, and at that point, you know, I mean, it depends. If you're doing it piece by piece, like that may be the reason why you want to approach doing something like this.
Yeah.
Is spending a couple $200-$300 each instead of like I need $1,800, $2,200 to drop on a guitar right now, and you want to do it piece by piece. This played relatively well to me. You can't really do too much about that without doing a neck.
Yeah.
And so I think on this particular guitar, adding what we did, I think it was great.
Yeah, I want to come back to what I said. This guitar plays and sounds and feels as good as guitars that cost twice as much even after the upgrades.
Yeah.
But like you said, if I thought I have $1,500 to spend on a guitar, a Squier with a whole bunch of upgrades is not going to be my first choice.
Sure.
And the point of this, the point of this video was not to say, look what you can do with $1,500.
Yeah.
The point of this video series was a fun experiment to say, how far can you take a $400 Squier?
Yeah.
And I think we've shown you can take it pretty far.
Yeah. We showcased the guitar in its stock form, which we're asked to do, so we did that.
Yeah.
We've wanted, and people have asked to hear the Lambertones Triple Shots.
Sound like.
So there's that.
The other thing that's come up is shoot the triple shots out against the silver sky. We're probably going to have to do that in a separate video.
Okay.
The other reason we wanted to do this video is we know many of you can afford a $400 instrument. Yeah. And you can't afford a $1,500 guitar.
Or you could afford to make installments of 2 to 3 every now and again.
And then over time you can add things to it. So what I hope we've communicated is if you can buy a $400 Squier, it's a great guitar.
Yep.
In its stock form.
Do a little elbow grease.
If you want to add to it over time, it is well worth the investment to put higher end things into it over time.
And the money
I think that's the real point of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the prices we gave actually were not sale prices. So you could find
those
you could
items
buy
stuff used,
Black Friday sales.
Yeah, you can do it for cheaper if you wanted to.
There's that.
If you think about that, if you have like a budget guitar and you put high-end pickups in it, and then you decide to get a different, you can always put the budget pickups back in.
That's true.
You get a set of Lambertone Triple Shots. Like those Triple Shots can go into whatever upgrade guitar you get eventually.
A lot of people don't, when they see a guitar for sale, used guitar for sale, the pickups, and from a lot of people don't play into the value of the guitar for them. Because you may have put in something very, very specific. But at the end of the day, this is all up to you.
I really like this guitar, Bradford.
Likewise.
Like it's one of my favorite. It's the only single Strat.
That is true.
In the room.
That's true.
And I really enjoy playing it, which makes me a little sad because we're not going to keep this guitar. Because we're giving it away! What to one of you! So stay tuned for a future update here at Worship Tutorials. If you made it to the end of this video, that was a surprise for you.
A little Easter egg.
Yeah. Good on you. We're going to give you more details.
Spoil it in the comments.
We're going to give you more details how you can win this completely tricked out $1,100 Squier Strat.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe. See you next time.